Welcome to the Good Dad, Bad Dad podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Arman Sheffy, and my other host, as always, is here with me, Eric Schaefer. And we're two very different fathers, finding common ground in parenting special needs kids, sports, nerd culture, and who knows what else. But one thing that we do know, that any day you could be the good dad or the bad dad. We hope you enjoy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back at y'all with another Good Dad, Bad Dad episode, and we are excited. This is so weird to say. We are excited after a ridiculously low record for the Bears. We are the most excited. It's so bizarre. I feel like this is the most excited the fandom has been, and like the worst record we've had in a long time.
But this has got to be a top three moment for Bears fans.
Yeah.
If you're our age and you're a Bears fan, I think the top three moments is Super Bowl 20, losing to the Colts in the Super Bowl, and this past season.
Yeah.
I've never been excited for a 3-win team.
But here we are. So, ladies and gentlemen, today is going to be all NFL. So this is our NFL special. We're going to come at you with convos regarding just the Bears regular season, kind of recapping some of those highlights and maybe some lowlights. We're going to talk about what we're looking at for the playoffs and some Super Bowl predictions. I might as well just throw mine in the garbage. And we might as well just say Eric's are going to be the right ones because he's Nostradamus. And then we're
2 years. 2 years running.
2 years running, right? And then we're going to talk about the Soldier Field Stadium sizzle reel that came out. I mean, there's so much to talk about with that alone. And then we'll close it up with some thoughts about the draft, which is a thing that I think as the season kind of closed out here that so many Bears fans are super pumped to talk about. So let's get into it. Regular season roundup. I think you had it written down somewhere, Eric. What were the final, or what were our predictions?
Well, their record was 3-14, right?
Yeah.
3-14. So at the beginning of the season, we did a NFL preview show. And let me state that I am not an over-the-top NFL fan. I am the casual. I will watch the Bears because they're my hometown team. And I'll pretty much not watch another game until the Super Bowl. So that's my fandom. But at the beginning of the year, I predicted the Bears to go 4-13. And Arman had them going 9-8. You've got a lot of explaining to do, my friend.
No, I don't. Here's why I don't have a lot of explaining to do. Because I am an insane Bears fan. End of conversation. So as a result, I don't have to live in the land of reality. I can live in the world of insane fandom. I think your greatest benefit is the fact that you are like, you know what? I'll watch the Bears, and you're not like a nutso. You can actually be rational with your fandom.
I mean,
I can look at Justin Fields and be like, we're going to the Super Bowl every year.
I can tell you how most of the games went this year for my viewing pleasure. I would watch probably the first 4 games, and there was a lot of positives within those first 4 games. We could have easily been 4-0.
Yeah, a lot of those games we could have won. Yep.
But once you're going into halftime and in the third quarter down by 25, 30 points in the middle of the season, it's hard for me to sit there and watch that. But then towards the later half of the season, you start to see that Fields is coming into his own and he's taking control of the offense, and they were in a lot of games. And I think, how many 1-point losses did they have? They had quite a few.
Quite a few, yeah. And putting up numbers points wise
Yeah.
that like nobody expected out of this offense.
So you could easily been a right with your score of 9-8 for the season. So, I'm always the glass half empty guy, halfy. Um, but I just honestly, when looking at the schedule, I just didn't really think that they were going to be anywhere near 500.
Right, right. Well, going into the season, there weren't a whole lot of reasons to think the team was going to be great. And what really upsets me though is how right from a record standpoint, so many of the Bears haters were. Because going into the season, people were like, they're the worst team in the NFL. And like all said and done, when the dust clears, we got the number one draft pick. So that
They
says
were
they
they
were
were
right.
right.
Yeah.
I
So
don't read or do homework at the start of the season for fantasy.
yeah.
I don't do any of that, right? I do all of that for hockey. That's
Right,
my,
right.
it's reverse, so
Yeah.
um you can just see that Poles had a mountain to climb when he
Mm-hmm.
came into this job. He had a whole new coaching staff. He has aging veterans that were hampering maneuverability, and I think he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
He traded Mac, he traded Roquan Smith,
Really wish he didn't have to do that, but I understand.
he made a lot of good moves.
Yeah.
The Chase Claypool move I thought was great at the time, but
Right.
as you
Now
see
looking
his
back,
it's like, man, we gave up a second round pick for him. So hopefully
but
a
I
season.
think that move is still like how long was his contract? Please tell me it wasn't just a year contract.
No, I think he still has another year or two.
Okay. Because I feel like that one's yet to really like prove whether or not it was a bust or not. Because I mean he comes in the middle of the year and like the offense is still trying to figure out what it is. And really what it is right now is like Justin's running for his life. And maybe he'll be able to get a pass off in the process. That's basically what the offense is. And the reason why we're able to put up great points is because he can throw and he's got amazing running ability. Like best running quarterback we've ever seen. Would have broke the record had he been able to play the last game because he only needed like 63 rushing yards. And he was averaging like since they actually let him loose, averaging that or more per game. So I think
Dude, I think
we'll find out in the next year.
he could be a free agent.
Oh, is he really?
They said that he signed a 4-year contract in 2020. So 2020, that was his age 22
Well, no, he would
season.
have one more year then, right? Well, wait, 20.
Well, 21 was his age 23 season. 22 was his age 24 season. So this 23 has got to be his last year. This
Okay, okay.
upcoming 23 season. To give up a second round pick for a free agent is not a great move, but we have 1 year. You could easily cut bait and move on.
Yeah, but I mean, as you even say that, that's an in. Now that I look back and you're saying that, like, that's an interesting decision because, like, why do that unless you're trying to go somewhere right now? And like, did we think we were about to like win it or something? And I know the thought is like, hey, we need to get, and maybe it's because like Fields is showing, he's like, oh, this is a quarterback. We need to get this guy some weapons. But I wouldn't think it's like we need to like sell the farm to get him weapons today. You know what I mean? Versus like, hey, let's make sure that we long term it. Because if you're I would take a second round wide receiver right now that I think can grow with Fields.
Yeah.
Not that Claypool's a bust, but like he ain't To in his prime or anything
It
like that.
was very, very underwhelming stats, but he's only
Yeah.
making 1.5 million. So
Oh,
it's not
okay.
it's not terrible, but you
But
would like to
it's just what we
see.
gave up. It's the giving up the draft pick
Yeah,
though.
Poles has got to do his best to keep Fields engaged with the team, right? You don't want to have Darnell Mooney as your number one and Cole Kmet as your number two, who probably is in reality your number one.
Yeah. I mean, it's from a wide receiver standpoint, it feels similar to how the Chiefs offense actually is, where it's like, okay, you got Kelsey, he'll go beast mode for you. And then you got Mahomes to make some things happen, and we'll get to the Chiefs later. I'm hopeful. I am not expecting them to go grab a ton of wide receivers. I do think we need at least one more. But I think more than that. I mean, and I know I guess we're skipping our order already because we're talking drafts, but it makes more sense, right? We're in the regular season. I think you need to protect him. You need to get that O-line. You need to get some D-line so you can get some more pressures on defense. And I mean, then there's still more places to get better, but I feel like those are the biggest gaping holes.
What's so exciting about the position that the Bears are in right now is they have 124 million in cap space.
Right. That's a
They
ton.
hold the number one overall pick, which typically is a quarterback.
Yeah.
They don't need a quarterback.
No. If they draft a quarterback, it's like fire poles today. Unless it's a rando that you're getting in the 7th round because maybe you want a better backup than Peterman. But
what I want to see them do is I just want to see them rake teams over the coals for their picks.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Give up a lot for that,
The only thing I'm hopeful if we trade back. Over the years, we have given up multiple first-round picks for free agent or trades, right? Cutler, Mack.
It's Peppers. Our turn to be on the other end of that.
We need some first-round picks.
Yeah, we're the reverse now. We're because we traded up for Trubisky, right? You say we traded some picks for Cutler, so it's now we've got the guy. So it's now we can trade away this stuff to get more, versus the inverse.
Some experts, are kind of putting a model together that if the Bears played their cards right, they could net 3 first-round picks because there's so many teams behind them that need that quarterback.
Yep.
And if you milk the system the right way, I would be perfectly okay trading that number one pick if we can net 3 or 4 first-round picks from trading back.
I completely agree with you, man. I completely agree with you. I know you definitely got Washington, Indianapolis, Houston. They all would
Detroit, maybe, but I know you're not going to trade within your division.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
There's a ton.
Yeah. I mean, we would have been one of those names every year, right?
Well, constantly.
Yeah. 100%.
So the Texans, they need a quarterback.
Who's that?
The Texans.
Yeah.
The Colts.
Yeah.
I mean, the Seahawks. I mean, Jameis Winston had a pretty good bounce back year.
For the Seahawks? You mean for the Saints? You said the Seahawks.
Who am I thinking of the Seahawks? Who's the quarterback for the
Seahawks?
No,
that's Geno Smith. They're good. They're good right now. Geno Smith, actually, I would call him comeback player of the year because he was like a nobody backup. And then everybody picked the Seahawks to be down there with the Bears, scrapping it out as the worst teams because they got rid of their franchise quarterback and Denver was going to the Super Bowl. And how quickly that whole thing flipped.
That's got to be a bust move for Denver, huh?
Oh my gosh, that is tragic. How much did they give up for Russell?
Crap ton. And
then they just gave it all.
Then you sign him to $125 million contract. Whew, that's a bad look.
Man, that is the worst. I can't think of any other deals that have been. Oh wait, there's the Deshaun Watson deal. That might be the worst deal. Although, I don't know. It's we'll see how that works out. But that was how much they gave up for Deshaun, and then like not too long after that, it's like, well, you won't get him for 12 games.
Right.
Like, wait, what?
But after the Colts, you have the Raiders at 7. They need a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yep.
Falcons need a quarterback. They're at 8, and Carolina's at 9. That's a quarter. You've got all those teams that you can milk by trading back and trading picks to let
Do
teams
any of
move up.
those have multiple first rounds? That's a good question to ask. Like who all is sitting on? I wonder. I should have done some research to find out who all was sitting on
Detroit.
another. Oh, Detroit
Seattle.
is. Yeah, they don't need it.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, you know what? I will say this. Minus the Claypool trade, which is like, hindsight's 2020, right? The way that he operated in the draft last year, while during the draft, I was like, oh, I don't know. They worked out, like except for Velus Jones. Hopefully he figures it out, because I was ready to like really cut that guy. like after he had so many costly fumbles, I was like, bro, like you got one job right now and you can't even do that. Like,
yeah,
sorry, you gotta go. But then he's started to like figure it out and had a couple of nice returns here and there, but like I don't know. But like he's the only guy that I'm like questioning as far as draft picks, because I love the Brisker pick. Oh my gosh, I'm in love with Brisker. Like that, if I'm getting another draft or another jersey, it's going to be a Brisker jersey. But I'm afraid, because a lot of times when I get a jersey,
be afraid. Let him develop before you sink money into a jersey.
Yeah, I know. But like, because I felt the same way about Eddie Jackson, and he came out beast mode his first year, and then it was like, woo.
He got his
found out.
Yeah,
well, but we also found out there's a lot of personal stuff that was going on in his story. Like, I don't remember, like a bunch of people that he lost, and this year where he was like, trying to get it back. But like what I love about Brisker is like he seems like a guy who just wants to hurt people out there. And I know that sounds bad, like as a pastor, like, but like the NFL, like football, that is a violent. It's like the old school Coliseum, like
the old school mentality of rock and sock.
Yeah, get out there and hit somebody. And he's that guy, you know what I mean? And he has a nose for the football too. So I love that about him. I'm on the fence with Gordon. I've seen flashes, but he looks like a rookie. He looks like a rookie to me. He looks like he could be somebody, but he's still young. And Dominique Robinson, he came out really strong. The first half of the season was like tops in sacks. I haven't really tracked it since then, but I know he was doing really well. So I think overall, I'm feeling good about the first handful of picks. So I'm excited to see what he does in the next draft.
Well, this is bare bones for us, right? This roster is bare bones, and last draft was the start. That's the foundation that Poles has to build on, and hopefully, Eberflus can work off of this. I don't think he had a bad year. I thought
Eberflus, no. I think from a coaching standpoint, I was impressed. I appreciated him,
but we were also hoodwinked about Matt Nagy's first year.
True. You know what I do love, and maybe this is Getsy, maybe this is Eberflus. While I thought 4 weeks, I want to say, was too long to figure out what you needed to do as far as play calling with Fields, but I like the fact that they actually made moves, because I feel like they were talking about that sort of thing with Nagy, and like there was like nothing changing in even in regards to how he was coaching Trubisky, and it was like, You're not putting these guys in a position to succeed based on the way that they play. You're still trying to just run your system.
I think with Nagy, he was coaching to save his job, to get that next contract.
Yeah. Where is he now? Is he back at Cincinnati or Kansas City?
Yeah, I think he's a coordinator.
Okay. Yeah.
Let Andy Reid deal with him.
Well, whether it's Eberflus or Getsy, I do like, for the most part, the way that they have reshaped this offense to showcase, Fields and what he can do. But now it's like we got to keep him healthy, and we got to get some protection and weapons for him. So,
well, I think you got to show him that you're going to build around him and with him, and not, distance him when you're making certain decisions on, the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. I felt like there was a good first step in that last draft. I heard that he was in the conversation when they were talking about wide receivers to draft. So I guess we have Fields to blame for Velus Jones.
Well, and I don't know about you, but I think, like, how else could have that regular season, come to an end for Bears fans? You get the number 1 overall pick, and then you watch the Packers lose, and then you get Aaron Rodgers on a hot mic saying, "I'm going to hold on to this one because
that's probably the last jersey I'll ever wear."
He's done with Green Bay, in my opinion.
So, no, that's what it sounds like. When I watched that, so I didn't see it live, but I saw the clip later, and because I saw the headline, it said something like he refused to trade the jersey with this guy from the Lions. Yeah. First of all, let's not skip over the fact that not only did the Packers lose, they lost to the Lions in the game that's you're in it if you win.
Well, I think now you're starting to see a change in the hierarchy of the Central, right?
You are. Yeah, your Vikings and your Lions are now we're fighting for the top.
Well, this is my thought, and I'm not, again, I'm going to state it. I'm not an NFL guy. Your Lions are up there now, but I don't think they're going to be there for long.
Why do you say that?
Just they've had Kirk Cousins for a while. He's getting up.
You're talking about the Vikings?
Yeah.
I thought you said the Lions. I'm sorry.
No, the Lions is who I'm afraid of.
Oh, right. Yeah, because they're younger. Yeah, I was like, why would you say the Lions won't be there for long? I got confused. Sorry.
No, I'm afraid of the Lions.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of the Packers anymore after yesterday.
No, I'm so excited by that fact. Bro, I can't remember the last time the Packers were bad. No, literally. That's pre-Brett Favre. When was that?
94.
Goodness gracious. I was in high school. I am about to be 45. So it is a great feeling to like you said, not be afraid of the Packers.
I think the Vikings have 2 to 3 years left. The Lions, they're going to be a scary team. That coach has got them playing and playing hard. And then I think,
did you see his what was it on? Was it on HBO? They did a preseason behind the scenes. I don't remember what it's called. Hard Knocks. A Hard Knocks. So I watch those series. I love, because I'm into documentaries and sports. So you put those two together and I'm all in. So they did a documentary on the Lions preseason. And so as I was watching that, I was like, oh man, every time I watch those, I feel more jazzed up about that squad. But watching him coach, he is such a player's coach. Yeah. I'm sure they would do anything for that dude. He goes through the drills with them and straight up doing up downs and out of breath and it's what, for real, dude? That says something about a guy. And then he's made sure that his staff is not just a bunch of people that know how to coach, quote unquote, but he's no, these are all NFL guys. Like these are guys that have been in the league. They understand what it takes to play. They understand who they're coaching. So
That's a team
yeah,
you
they're
just feel sorry for, because year after year, they're always in the bottom half of the standings. They always land a top 8 pick, right?
yeah.
And year after they just can't get it right. But now I think they have the right staff, and the needle is pointing upwards for them.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting division. It's gonna be an interesting division.
I think I enjoy seeing the Packers lose more than the Bears win.
um, I don't think I can say that. Well, okay, this year maybe yes. And the reason why is because I knew this year the Bears weren't going to like go to the playoffs or go to the Super Bowl. And so actually there's a bittersweetness to every victory because it's like, "Oh, we're in jeopardy of getting a worse pick." You know what I mean? Like so I celebrated the losses as long as I continued to have hope about where the team was going.
So real quick before we
Next
move
year, I
on,
won't think that though. Next year, I would care less if the Packers lose. If the Bears lose, like, well, that's not true. If the Bears lose, I want the Packers to lose still. So, anyways,
before
go
we
ahead.
move on, are you going above 9 wins or under 9 wins
For next year,
for next year?
I don't want to say that right now. Like, we still got the draft, we got free
It's
agency.
all too early predictions.
Okay, all too early prediction for next season. I would. No, I'm not going to go above 9. Like, come on. I'm having a hard time going lower though. Maybe 9-8 is my sweet spot because I want to say that they're gonna have a winning season, but I don't want it to be ridiculous. And so 9-8 is a winning season.
Here, my thought, just by taking everything into account, you can't get any lower than you're at right now.
Correct.
So they're not, knock on wood, they're not going to go worse than a 3-14 record. I would say right now, with the way they are, they're probably a 6-11 team.
I thought you were gonna say 7 wins. I mean, so if they don't pick up anything of significance in the draft or free agency, okay, I would say I wouldn't disagree with that because I feel like they had their act together the first 4 games, like I feel like they would have won some of those. So I think that sounds legit.
Well,
But
this is just right now, right? This is just
yeah,
right
but
now.
I believe so. I'm saying the 9 because I believe that there's help on the way. You know what I
You're
mean?
on the
Like I'm
Kool-Aid.
saying that based on what's coming now.
You're on the Kool-Aid.
Of course, man. That's what we know about me. That's what I said.
I would be happy if they showed, a 6-11 or a 7-10 record next year.
Yeah.
But it's that following year that I want to see like above 500.
I'll
And
tell you, I will be disappointed if they get 6.
you would be
If
disappointed if they
I
won
would.
6 games.
I would be happy, like satisfied with 7. 6, I would probably feel disappointed. Like 6 and below is where I'm feeling like, nah, y'all could have done better than that. Y'all could have done better than that. Because I feel like the team as it is right now, like 6 is doable, but like I'm not. We better be getting better. Like I feel like
Here's
this
the
should have been
thing.
a 6-win season.
Whenever you have a team like the Bears, you have to take in consideration that this year's draft class could have a sophomore slump. So there's players that could take a step backwards. And then you couple that with the rookies coming in, right? There's always going to be ebbs and flows of a rookie's first season, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why next year, I hate to say this, Bear fans, next year, just fast forward to year 2024. That's the year we need to pay attention to. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because my hockey team 5 years ago stripped everything down and went that route. And I
Right.
hated it. I hated it because I laid out $170 for the hockey package, and I was watching junk games in December when
Yeah.
there's January, February, March, April. There's 4 months left, and I had to watch junk. But then you start to see that all of these draft picks that you accumulated, and now look where they're at. They're a
Right.
top 10 team in the league.
Yeah.
Always 2 to 3 years down from that first draft class is like that's when you start
All
raising
right.
expectations. But I like if you guys can see Arman, I bursted his bubble right now.
You did. And the
Like,
reason and look, the reason why it's bursted is because of your freaking track record. So like it doesn't feel like just random chatter. Like it's like, oh dang. If Eric feels this is true, it's gonna probably be close to that. But you know what? I'll take close to 6. I'm just like, I'm like, man, 7 feels like yes. 6 is still an improvement, but like 3 was underachieving this year.
but this 3-14 team did not feel like we underachieved.
It didn't because we had like the most exciting quarterback to watch in the NFL this year. So yeah, like everyone in the league was like, I want to see Justin Fields this week and see what he's gonna do. Like he was the show, and like I still, whenever I watch, good lord, like just the way that he jukes people. But the thing is, what concerns me though is it's so obvious when he's not fully healthy. Then it's like, oh my gosh. Then it really at that point you go from like terrorizing a team where they don't know what to do to them being like sharks and they smell blood in the water. Because now they know your greatest weapon ain't himself. And
Yeah.
like we can take y'all down now, you know? So that's the problem when like everything rides on like the star. You know, it's like if you were playing the Bulls. And if you could take Jordan down, you know, then hey, okay, we can stop him.
You could focus on
But
Pippen and slow him down, and you got nobody else.
yeah. So
I'm hoping
I
what
don't
the
know,
Bears
man.
can find in the draft is that defensive leader. Like you and I agree, trading Rokon was the right move, but we didn't like it.
Right. It was just you had to.
Yeah.
It sucked, but you had to.
They need that young defensive leader now on the other side of the ball. That's going to be that field general
Right.
for the defense.
Yeah. It's not Sanborn. He's good. I liked his energy. Like I love that he's like you can see it that he's hungry, right? He's a young, scrappy, hungry guy, but he's not going to lead the defense. The Good Dad, Bad Dad podcast is brought to you by Freedom Story Media, where we tell stories that inspire you to live a life of freedom and joy. Now let's get back to today's episode. Maybe we can draft that guy.
I have no clue about the draft other than the quarterback from Georgia. That's all I know.
I don't actually either. It's too early for me to be paying attention to who's coming out. So we'll have a draft prep episode as April approaches. So you're like whatever. He's like I don't know anything.
I'm gonna ride shotgun on that episode.
Well, maybe at that point we'll talk NFL and whatever cool Marvel stuff is out.
So I think before we go into that video, do you want to talk about our playoff predictions?
Yes.
Or do you want to talk the video and then playoff predictions?
No, we can talk playoffs.
All right.
Playoffs. That still feels like in that same train of thought here. See if I can get that up on the screen again. So, in the AFC, would you want to? We're not doing game by game, right? We're just going to say who we think is the AFC champs or the AFC championship game, and then
yeah, that's fine. We could do the AFC championship game.
Okay. So on the AFC championship side, I've got the final two being the Chiefs and the Bills. Boo, boo, boo. So shocker. So It feels like the lame guy, doing the NCAA bubble who picks all number ones in the Final Four. But
I there's something telling me that the Bengals are going to get back to the AFC Championship game. I think it's going to be the Bills and the Bengals.
oh, all right, all right. I actually almost picked the Bengals because, man, I'm a big Burrow fan, and I had Burrow and Chase in my fantasy league earlier in the season before I ended up trading them away and got Justin Fields, and life was beautiful. But dude, at one point in fantasy, like I was doing so bad, and I was like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. If I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down with my guys. And it was right when the Bears like clicked on offense. So I went and got Fields, Montgomery, Komet, and Claypool. I put Claypool on my bench. He never actually made it into the league, into my team. But Fields started, Komet started, Montgomery started, and they were blowing it up, man. I was crushing people when Fields is getting like 40, 50 points. Komet got like 20 points 2 or 3 weeks in a row. And people were like, what? Man, you really bear down, and it worked. Yeah, but then, the end of the season happened, and I crapped out in the playoffs. So, anyways, I said Chiefs Bills. You said Bills Bengals. So we both agree on the Bills. Yeah. I think their offense is, quite terrifying, and I think now they're also playing with like all sorts of momentum and heart after the whole DeMar Hamlin, situation. Yeah. It's going to be like this kind of like let's win one for DeMar, So
he got discharged today.
Did he? Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I was about to say, although I think that might be like really depressing though, if your team wins and you were like injured, but maybe not too depressing because he almost died, so he's alive. All right, so let's go NFC, and then we'll go back to the who we think's gonna to win it all. So the NFC Championship game.
This is the problem that I have with the NFC, right? You've got 3 teams from the East.
Yeah.
And all 3 of those teams know each other, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what I struggle with, because if the Eagles play the Giants or the Cowboys, I kind of feel like in the playoffs that's going to be a toss-up game. Because that's going to be your third time.
I don't think it's a toss-up. I think, well, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
I think it's going to be Eagles and Vikings.
That's literally what I have. Yeah. Same here. Because I think the Eagles, while it'll be a tough one with either of them and the Giants and the Cowboys for the reason you said, they're just so, in my opinion, they're just so much better. Like, 9 times out of 10, they're going to win. There might be that 10th time, but they're so much better than those 2 teams. The Vikings, man, they can turn it on.
Yeah.
And I think they could beat anybody any given Sunday. And it's just a matter of which team's going to show up. Did you see that? The game? Oh my gosh. The game where they played the Colts? The largest comeback in NFL history?
No.
Bro, so I was at the mall. So Larissa and Layla were down in the city or something doing a girls' night thing. And I took Mateo to the mall. I'm like, I'm going to let him have fun. He's always asking me to go to Woodfield, which is a trek. But I'm like, you know what? I'm with Mateo alone the whole day. Fine. We'll spend half of that in the car. Whatever. So we drive to Woodfield, and I'm like, he's running the show. I'm letting him go wherever he wants. I'm listening to the game on the drive up, like the beginning of it, and they're getting blown out by the Colts. And it's so bizarre because it's in Minnesota, and like the fans were like ready to see them clinch in like wild fashion and just crush the Colts. And it's like turnover after turnover and like one thing after another. And it's like, I want to say it was like 35-3 or something at halftime, something crazy like that. Or I think it was 35-0. And then the second half, the Colts only scored a field goal, and the Vikings scored, like, they tied it up, went to overtime, won it in overtime. Like, it was insane, and they said it was the largest comeback in NFL history, and it was just like, wow, that you guys could just, like, you're getting crushed. How do you not just lay down on that? Because you don't need the win. Like, they're
Because
gonna clinch eventually,
Jeff Saturday's coaching.
Right. But they didn't. I think it was on a Saturday too. I think it was. Yeah, somebody said there's only coach named Saturday to coach on a Saturday. Okay. Anyways, but
so we both got Eagles,
yeah, man, just to see that like they have enough weapons and even enough like stick-to-itiveness to being down by that many points to just say, you know what, let's go get this. We can still win this. That was something to watch. And when you got Justin Jefferson out there who you can just lob the ball up to, I mean, he's like Randy Moss reincarnated. I mean, so I think that's going to be an interesting one, and watch they lose in like the first round.
I mean, that's a tough draw. Vikings, Giants.
Yeah, that'll be a good game. I mean, I think that whole NFC, like that whole situation, apart from the Bucks, like that's stupid. That
I mean, my heart wants to see the Dolphins and the Jaguars because that would shove it so far up Goodell's hoop. To have those two teams playing for the AF, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
If it was check it. If your AFC was Dolphins Jaguars, and then the NFC was Buccaneers like Seahawks, like
that would be. I mean, the only silver lining is you have Brady, right?
Right. But he's not Brady right now.
No.
We're discovering that actually his secret weapon was Giselle.
She was done with him pretty quick.
Yeah. So okay, so you said Chiefs. No, I'm sorry. You said Bills Bengals. And then you said Eagles Vikings. So Bills Bengals. Who you got winning there?
I got the Bengals.
You got the Bengals going all the way to AFC, and I've got the Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs. So shocker. And then in the NFC, we both said Eagles, Vikings. Who you got
Vikings.
going there?
Eagles,
Vikings. I got the Vikings as well. So our difference is Chiefs and Bengals. So I think that'll be where we split it up here. But who do you got winning it all?
This is my heart pick. I want to see the Bengals win.
Wow. I mean, you know what? I would be down for that. I'd be down for that. Except I think the Chiefs are going to win it all. It's like
I'm trying to come up with a comparison because they've only won one, which is great.
Yeah.
Have they lost two?
I do not keep track. I don't even know.
I think they lost two.
Maybe we should look it up.
Now we got to take a time out for research and development.
The Chiefs are 2-2 all time. Well,
2-2, but the last 4 years, like, what are they?
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's see what we are. Ooh, right past it.
So they won. What? That's not helpful. Yeah, well, that's just showing how many they won.
So they lost to Tampa Bay 31-9. They beat San Francisco. Okay, so recently they're 1-1.
Yeah, because they beat San Francisco. Oh yeah, and then they lost. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be 2-1 this year. Cincinnati was last year, right?
What's that? Yeah, they made it last year.
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
Oh, it's Cincinnati that you're thinking of?
No,
that has the record of.
Cincinnati's horrible in Super Bowl. Aren't they like 0-6?
Yeah. I was about to say they don't ever win.
That's just my heart pick.
You get
right?
Cincinnati versus the Giants in the Super Bowl. And it's like, who's going to win that? Although I guess the Giants can't got. Or no, I'm thinking of the Bills. That's what I'm thinking of. Old school Bills with Jim Kelly. Where
The
they can
Bills,
never freaking win.
They're 0-4.
Wait, have the Bills won recently?
Oh.
So they still haven't won.
They haven't been back to the Super Bowl since the 90s.
Gosh. Oh, so now I feel bad. Now I feel like I should pick them. Yeah, because I like the Bills, especially after this season. You know what? It's happening live on air.
We're breaking out the eraser.
I am crossing out the Chiefs. And I am now officially Bills Mafia. And they're going all the way. They're going to win it all.
So you got Bills. Who do you got? Bills and Eagles, right? Or Bills and
Vikings? Yeah. So then now to mix it up, it's Bills Bengals, which is exactly what you said. But instead of the Bengals coming out on top, I'm saying the Bills are coming out on top.
And then who do you have in the Super Bowl?
Bills and Vikings.
And
then Bills winning it.
I can only predict standings.
Well, we will see. We will see, won't we? Well, hey, man, why don't we wrap up with the most exciting thing that I experienced today, which is the sizzle reel of the stadium proposal. Now, I intentionally didn't share my thoughts with you because I also didn't really want your thoughts to poison my own head yet, because I know you've had some strong feelings in regards to the stadium and all that. So why don't we let you actually tell me what you think? Were you thumbs up, thumbs down, mixed bag? Or maybe actually first, maybe you should tell everybody what we're talking about.
So late yesterday evening, I think the city of Chicago released a revised plan for Soldier Field. It was pretty ambitious because they have, the bus lines, the train lines. It kind of looked like a little mini sports book, although they probably won't call it that. They had a concert venue outside of Soldier Field. It looks like they're trying to alleviate a lot of problems. The concourses at Soldier Field stink. The bathrooms stink. Getting in and out stink. Oh, it is a nightmare going to Bears games. This doesn't change my thought, because I would bet everything that I own that the city of Chicago could not pull that off. When
I had such a feeling you were going to say exactly that. Continue. Go ahead.
There is no way that Lori Lightfoot is going to get that done. No way. I would take everything and bet no that would not happen.
And I can't disagree with your prognosis on whether or not Lori Lightfoot and the city of Chicago would really be able to get it done. I maybe this is just my thing. I think this is where we are constantly different, right? I tend to just take like the supremely optimistic approach. And like so I'm looking at this on face value, and I'm not thinking like probabilities or how much it's going to cost or I'm like, what I'm looking at, I want all of that. Yes, I'm all in. Let's go. And I think I was also probably predisposed to say yes to this for the simple fact that, like, isn't Soldier Field like the oldest stadium in the league, in the NFL?
Well, I mean, it was renovated in 94.
Right, but I mean, like, right, but like,
no, it's the worst stadium in the league. It's got the smallest capacity. You're in the third largest market.
No, I hear you on that, but what I'm trying to say is
you have a team that doesn't own the stadium.
He's so angry, you guys.
Everything that the Hellas has done now,
You guys should
it,
see his face. It's beginning to match his beard.
it's all red now. I got some. You got to see my grays in here. This side is Kyle. This side's Courtney. Um, Everything they're working for is to get out of Chicago. They can go to Arlington Heights. You already have the train lines there. The infrastructure, it's not glamorous like,
Right, right.
the video, the sizzle reel. You have quick access to the highway, right? Well, 53. And then you own your own stadium like that. The Bears have never had that. They've always had to have a lease, and you would have to deal with other entities' schedules. So you could have a college football game playing Saturday, and then the Bears are playing there Sunday or
Mhm.
Monday, and then the field's
Yeah.
all torn up. You've
In
never.
the sizzle reel, you even saw like other events, like on some of the screenshots. It looked like there was felt like they even converted into like a basketball court at one point, and then they had like a shot that looked like a monster truck rally going on there.
I
So
think what the city of Chicago is doing is they realize that the last
all the
nail
lost
in the
revenue.
coffin hasn't been put in yet, and they're
Right.
trying desperately to hang on to that. Where I think the Hallises are, they're out.
But that's a heck of a last ditch effort. Like it's a great vision. Maybe that's what it is. I am a visionary. So like that vision like captured me. I was like, man, like you're selling me on that vision for sure, for sure. Cause that's super dope. And now I just like desperately want that. Because for me, I wasn't thinking about, and you made great points. You made great points about like the team owning it and about how much more realistic, what would be happening in Arlington Heights would be. But for me, like as dumb as it sounds, like there's a loss for me about the team not actually playing in Chicago. And I know that's so stupid because it's like there's a lot of teams that don't play in their city's namesake, but like I don't know, and there's something about it being like part of the city skyline, and like I don't know, it's all of these stupid, intangible, like what it would do for the city in itself, and like that would look so amazing. And a freaking dome where if they kept it transparent, like with the glass dome ceiling, like you're freaking looking out and seeing the skyline. And I don't know, man. It was like, oh man, I want that. I really want that. And I don't know. And I think the problem is I don't have something as exciting that I'm being shown at the same time about what Arlington Heights would be. And I think what we saw didn't look bad. Like there was like a rendering or something, I think, of what it would gonna be, but this looks
So
way
let me
more
ask you
exciting.
this question. You do realize that the Bears spent more years playing at Wrigley Field than Soldier Field, right?
I don't even remember, bro. I
Well, I know
promise
it's
you I don't.
before our time, but
Yeah,
they were in Wrigley Field forever.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then I think, they moved to Soldier Field. That I like I guess we're, opposites on this one. Like that doesn't bother me, because
yeah.
when I think of the Dallas Cowboys and the Giants and the Rams and the Raiders, they built these, 80 to 90,000 seat stadiums that give the owners money to go and invest in research and development and scouting and free agency. Now, who knows if that money is actually going to go
I was
there?
about to say, okay, like not you. I was with you until then. But
But
I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna pretend that if we give the Hallises more money, we're gonna see a much better product on the field.
we have a 60,000 seat venue that.
Look, so comparing it to what we have, like, yeah, obviously you got me. Like, I don't want what we have. I'm 100% in on we need a new stadium. All in. The question is, where, and what's it gonna look like. So obviously we need a dome because I would love to us actually host a Super Bowl. But like at the same time, if we're hosting a Super Bowl, like it feels kind of whack that it would be out in Arlington Heights.
I mean, do you
You know
think
what I
it
mean?
feels
Not
any
like in the
different?
city.
Do you
What's
think it
that?
feels any different if it's in Arlington, in Texas?
I don't know anything about what they're doing in Texas, bro. I really
No,
don't.
but that's the Cowboys aren't in Dallas; they're in
And I
Arlington.
believe that. And I'm they might love it. That's fine. I just know I just know for me, like that would be dope. Like if I'm just planning how I would want to host, if I'm Chicago, I'm hosting the Super Bowl, I'd want to host it in Chicago where I can be like, yo, right after this, like walk on down to Michigan Ave and check out,
Dude, nobody's walking downtown.
why not? I like walking downtown.
Walking downtown.
Yeah, you can get some popcorn. You can go check out the John Hancock building. You can go over to Millennium Park. They got an amazing park down there. You can get your stupid selfie at the Beam. I mean, maybe I just love Chicago and you don't.
Arman's living in the 80s.
No, like legit. Like we go to downtown like not that long. Like
There's
this
nothing
this past year we've been downtown walking around.
for me. This isn't for everybody. For me, there's nothing appealing going to Soldier Field. There's nothing.
Right now, I don't disagree with you.
And I don't think the city of Chicago has the brain capabilities of pulling that off. You know
and I
what the
think
city would
that
do?
point, and I think that point you have me on. Like I concede that point. I concede that point. I just I
Like,
wasn't living in how feasible. I was living in the amazing possibility.
do you remember 6, 7 years ago, um, the city was playing hardball with the Cubs,
Yeah, yeah,
and the Ricketts threatened to move. Was it Schaumburg or Rosemont? One of the mayors reached out and said, "You could have this plot, and
mm,
we'll invest in the infrastructure, and
sounds
we'll."
vaguely familiar.
I
I don't
don't
remember. I
remember
don't
if it
remember.
was Schaumburg or Rosemont, and a piece of me felt the way you felt. That's the stadium that I grew up going
Mhm,
to. I want to take my kids there. And then
right,
you start thinking about it, like Wrigley's one of the smallest fields in the National League. I think Fenway's smaller. One of the most outdated venues. Now, of course, since then they've, renovated all of the infrastructure of
right.
Wrigley. I wouldn't care if they moved. Like you're
Oh, bro, you
what
can't now see. I'm not even a Cubs fan. You cannot move the Cubs
what does
out of
Odie
Wrigley
say
Field.
about Asgard? Right. That's right.
and what's funny is
Schaumburg
um
could be Asgard. That's your Wrigley. That's where your people are.
what is so funny is in ministry I very much preach about the church not being the building but the people. And like I do ministry now intentionally in such a way where it's not about gathering a huge crowd at some physical location but wherever the people can gather. So I get that. But I guess I'm still old nostalgic Arman who's like, but the building's amazing and historical. Well, I'm not even trying to say that Soldier Field's building is amazing, but there's something about the Bears being like within the columns in Soldier Field that like rip out the innards, completely rebuild it, give us the dome, build everything around it. I loved how they even had that Veterans Memorial. Like, come on, man. That was a nice touch. It's like, yeah, come on, the troops.
They're just trying to tug at the heartstrings of everybody. And
They did. They got
the
my heartstrings.
the reality is the Bears for as long as they've been at Soldier Field, have always been an afterthought there. And they're the main tenant.
Hmm.
I remember in the 80s and the 90s, my dad yelling at the television because they used to spray paint, like when they had the turf and the turf would be peeled up, they would spray paint the concrete green just so you didn't see the turf was ripped up. So it looked like grass. And he
Wow.
remembers like all the stories about like how bad the Chicago Park District treated the Bears at that stadium.
Oh
And
gosh.
when they
See,
when
I
they
know nothing
started
of that.
all the renovations, and they started bringing in the concerts and the personal seat licenses, like none of that was only to benefit you know the park district. It wasn't to benefit the Bears. And I
Hmm.
think as the third largest market in the United States, we deserve better.
Agreed.
And I'm
Agreed.
not even a full-time NFL fan.
They got me. They pulled on my heartstrings. They're making a whole concerto. Like
Let
they
me ask you a question in all
yeah,
honesty.
yeah,
Right now, if I had tickets to a regular season game down at the current Soldier Field as is, would you go to a game
yeah,
knowing that you got to leave 4 hours before
yeah.
game time
I'm going.
and you got to leave like in the third quarter to get home at a decent time at night?
But I probably wouldn't leave at the third quarter. I probably would just be like not getting home at a decent time. I'd go. And I remember the Super Bowl year. I ended up going to 3 games that year. When I say the Super Bowl year, I don't mean the 85 Super
Yeah,
Bowl year.
yeah,
I mean like the what was that,
six.
2000? Um, I remember going to the 3 games that year, and I'm not saying like that, I thought everything was like perfect or anything like that, but like I was also never accustomed to like this like a Bears stadium ever being amazing. So it wasn't like it didn't feel like a diminished experience to me. It was just like, oh, this is what it means to be at the Bears. Now, granted, the only fact the one factor that would be a determiner is how cold is it. So if it was like one of the last games of the season with how cold it's been, I probably wouldn't go. I probably wouldn't go because I just don't do cold. I don't do cold like that. When I did before, that was back in my drinking days. So that was the way that I worked around it. I just drank so much that I was not worried about how cold
All
it
the
was
cough
anymore.
syrup kept you warm.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm not that guy anymore, so I need warmth. One of the games that I went to that year was in a skybox, and that was awesome because one of my buddies, his dad's company did something where they had a skybox, and he invited me and another guy up, and I remember we played the Bills actually, and it was a good it was a good experience. That was a great experience. Like eating wings and all that stuff in the box, and like like you're set. But some of the other games were like really cold. But now where I'm at today, this is 20 years later. It needs to at least be warmer. So catch me in the first half of the season, and yeah, I'm going.
I've been to games at both Soldier Fields, pre-reno, post renovation.
Yeah.
When you're younger, you're more excited about going to the game, and you take in all of the sights and the sounds. And you know, Kyle doesn't ask me to go to a Bears game.
Hmm.
He asks all the time for Cubs, and we took him to his first NHL game over break.
Mhm.
The Rangers came to town against the Blackhawks, and that was the best butt kicking I've ever seen. Rangers won 7-1. Sorry, Blackhawk
Nice.
fans, but you guys deserve it. Um, but he
Well,
doesn't
maybe he doesn't
ask.
even care about football.
So I always put the games on Sunday, right? Because that's kind of
Yeah.
like I can get laundry done, I can get things done.
Yeah.
And he comes down, looks, and he's like, "What's this?" I'm like, "Well, this is the Bears," and makes the U-turn and leaves.
Well, so he's just not a football guy. I don't know that that's
And
necessarily saying something about going to the
I
game.
think I think that'll come with age, but he's also now into. you know, I want to go see these parks because I want souvenirs, right? So
Right, right.
it's the interest, and like I don't know if I would take him if they were still down at Soldier Field. Like I don't
Yeah, yeah.
like that to me just seems like a nightmare, like the food is, you got to wait 2 hours for a piece of pizza. You got to wait an hour to use the bathroom. I don't know, man.
So if we're putting in the conversation going with one of your children, I'm out.
Well, yeah,
So that's a difference for me. Yeah, I'm definitely. I don't want to deal with that. Like,
but I mean, on the other hand, my dad and my sister like live or die with the Bears. Like
yeah,
every Sunday, start to finish. And then my dad calls me up. Well, did you watch it? I'm like, I kind of turned off after the
right,
second. What are you doing? Turn it off. You're gonna... I'm like, Dad, I'm not going to watch the remaining 2 quarters just to see them get their tails kicked.
right, right.
But that's how he is, and
Yeah, and I think some of that is kind of what I'm talking about, where there's a little bit of the difference of the fanaticism, that allows you to not necessarily look at everything so strictly rational and logical because you're a fanatic, so it's like,
but I mean, like even so going to the United Center, it's not bad getting in and out, and that's
I've
with no
not been there
train
in so
line,
long.
right? There's no train line. You have two major highways that you can get in and out, but it takes you 20 minutes to get out of there. And then you're on the highway and you're head home. Soldier Field, you'd be lucky 3 hours after a game to get onto the highway.
But it's right there on the lake, man. That was my way of reminding you you're not going to logic me out of my stance. Like,
But let me ask you a question.
yeah.
You got wowed by that little 2 minute sizzle reel by the city of Chicago, right?
Yep. They
And I
got me.
think we would both agree that what was released for the Arlington Heights plat was underwhelming, right?
Yeah.
They can turn that around and polish that turd up, and then you have like a
Yeah.
sizzle reel that Arman could be. Oh, we brought the colonnades to Arlington Heights.
And then we're not even having this debate. But the city of Chicago went first, and now I'm like, oh, and they would keep it right there.
What if Arlington Heights and the Bears loved the aspect of the veterans, right?
Mhm.
And named the field in Arlington Heights Veterans Memorial Stadium or Veterans Stadium. You bring in the colonnades, you come up with that salute to the military, you get
That's
all of the
cool.
bells and whistles that Armand was like, yeah. And now it's in
That's
Arlington
cool.
Heights.
I think the problem is, so look, so even without even without seeing all of this amazing stuff, I was relatively for the move to Arlington. So the only reason I say relative is because it was still like, but I'd love for it to be in Chicago, but I know how bad that situation is right now, and this would be an improvement. So okay, you know what? Fine, I'll suck it up and deal with it. Had they shown us that sizzle reel that we just saw for what they were going to do in Arlington, then it would have been no brainer. I'm like, let's go. I don't even care. And then if Chicago came up with their own version, it was like, well, you guys were late. Y'all are just copying. You know what I mean? Like it would just feel like you're whatever. I feel like the pitch in Arlington, because it didn't have any competition, did not need to do anything really amazing. It was just like, yeah, like here's the competition, that crap that you guys all hate, or come over here and we can build something new
So
versus this.
I think the Arlington, I think we'll all agree it wasn't very good.
Yeah,
My feeling is it's just placeholders to show everybody what could be on the plot of land, because that's what we've all
sure.
been sold on is the land, right? It's just not the NFL venue. It's the mixed retail. It's the residential. It's, redeveloping the train station. It's, it's more than just the stadium. So, you know, I have no history with Arlington Heights. I've worked with the city of Chicago's building department, and that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I would have more faith that Arlington Heights would be like, okay, like that's how we're going to play. And then they're going to come out with their own sizzle reel. And
And I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that, because I feel like at this point they have to.
Yes.
Because this is the importance of like communicating vision. You know what I mean? Because when you can communicate a compelling vision, it does just that. It compels people in that direction. Even when, like, if you were just to strip it down and look at things logically, it's like, well, wait a minute. This doesn't still make as much sense. But the vision is so compelling that it's like, and like right now I'm like bought into the vision. And
Well,
I'm just like gonna ignore.
and if you're a season ticket holder, right?
Yeah.
And you've had season tickets within your family for decades, and you see that sizzle reel, I, would buy into it. But if I didn't get that product,
right. Yeah. Now you're definitely disappointed.
You're disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah. In a big way. And the truth is that sizzle reel leaves room only to be disappointed.
Yes.
Because it's like it's not, and I would agree with you, it's not really realistic that you're going to nail everything in there. Even if they got really close, that would be a victory. But still, it's going to be a step down from everything that they showed you that they could do.
If the city of Chicago couldn't develop and construct Millennium Park for the Millennium Year, and it came out in like 2005.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
If you can't develop a park, I'm not trusting you.
But the park's amazing, though. The park's really cool.
I'm not trusting you developing an NFL.
But the park's really cool. Mateo loves the park. That's one of the big things that we do when we go to the city, and we still go down to the city. Like, my family is a family that enjoys trips to the city. So
send me pictures. Send me pictures.
And I do say my family, though, because I'm still really enjoying my rest. So I try to get out of going to the city if I can help it, just because it's a long day. But like, my family really likes going down there. So actually, matter of fact, I think Larissa's going down there, not this weekend, but next weekend. And they were just down there. I don't know how long ago. Oh, we're all going to be going down there at the end of the month, because Layla's got a concert. And we're going to make a weekend out of it, where we're going to go down there. I want to say a Friday and a Saturday. So this is part of what we do. So that maybe that's what it is, because it's still a part of kind of how we do life to a degree. So I would love to just know that my boys still play there in my city. I say my city like I would love to move whenever I can, because it's so freaking cold.
your boys will always be your boys, whether they're in Arlington Heights or in Chicago.
This is very true. This is 100% true. And I was going to be okay with it, but now I just got sold on an amazing reason to not be okay with that.
But like, you're staring at the new shiny thing that's
100%.
But
100%.
There's that other kid in the back of the room that's like, oh, okay, all right. And a week later, like, this big new shiny thing comes out, and you're like, yeah, that's me in the back.
Yeah, you're in the back. Come up to the front. Come up to the front where the new shiny thing is.
I'm fine, and I know the track record of that city. No way they're gonna pull that off.
Oh my gosh. Well, you guys, I don't know if you all are enjoying this relentless debate that is like, it seems like it's never going to go anywhere, because we're both very stuck to our guns on this one. Me in lack of logic, but all on vision, and Eric all about what makes sense and what is rational. And I will admit, rational should win. I'm not gonna lie, it should win. And yet here I stand.
I think I think the Bears just have 10 more years left on that lease.
Oh, well, they're not going to get this done in 10 years.
Well, I think development of Arlington Heights will probably be 5 or 6, and then you either buy out the remaining years of your lease or you just plan it where, you finish your lease and then you're opening Arlington Heights.
We'll see. Hey, look, I'm down for a brand new stadium wherever. It's fine.
I'll invite you over to my house for the last game in Soldier Field. I'll get you a box of Puffs or Kleenex. If you want some pizza, I'll get pizza.
The last game, I might not even buy tickets. I will go there and I will tailgate and I will take selfies with the columns.
Oh, no. Just send me pictures of yourself. I'll celebrate from my couch.
There we go. Well, hey man, this has been a great conversation. As much as I love football, it makes it even more fun to chat about it with you and hear all the reasons why I'm a ridiculous fan. And I hope you enjoyed it as well, man. Is there any last thoughts you got on any of the football, the stadium, the drafts, blah blah blah? Any other reasons why?
I think personally it was a nice change of pace, switching it up from the Marvel and the Star Wars talk that we usually, dominate with. And who knows, maybe I can get Arman to watch a hockey game with me and we can
that's not unlikely.
Develop a new love.
You so want to make a hockey fan out of me. I love it.
No, I mean, like, I think you would be entertained, and I think like watching one game, if it's a good game, I think you would be like, all right, I can do this.
Yeah. You know, and I don't doubt it. I know I would enjoy that more than watching a game of soccer, which I've tried.
Oh yeah, no, I can't do soccer.
There's at least more action and it's fast paced, and scoring or not isn't the biggest deal, but like, I like seeing them out there, like similar to football, like there's a physicality to it, and I know you would say it's more physical and because they like, I'll let them straight up fight,
You can fight and go sit for 5 minutes in the penalty box and think about
get a little timeout. Slap on the hand, then you can go back in.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what? We'll make that happen one of these days. We've been talking about it long enough, so we'll definitely do that.
All right.
But yeah, this was a good chat, and enjoyed it as always. Hope you guys listening at home or in your car or wherever you are enjoyed it as well. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe wherever you're listening. Maybe even give us a rating, because ratings and reviews on wherever you're listening do help other folks find the pod. We aren't on social media a ton, but like if you find us, feel free to hit us up. We will definitely reply. That's at Good Dad Bad Dad Pod on Instagram. And that's basically the only place we're really at. But you can check out past episodes on gooddadbaddadpod.com as well.
Take the L for lack of social media.
That's not just you, man. Come on. I got so many other things going on. So many other podcasts and videos and I'm all over the place. So it just hasn't been a priority for us. Let's call it that.
There you go.
And on that, y'all, we will see y'all next time. Do not expect a Bad Batch episode. It ain't coming. I just had to quietly throw in a shot. And we'll see y'all next time.
Peace.
Peace.